Whether you're picking and grinning or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambler. Turn it up. All right. Then.
Oh, hey, we're live.
We are. Yeah, that's right. I got that on camera. That's cool.
Right. Oh, darn. That's right. Video, full video now. Dios mío. All right. So, hey, how's it going? I don't know if I can say this with a straight face or without any sarcasm. But my favorite, Morgan Wallen, has decided that he is not adding his newest album to the Grammy what's how can I say this nomination pool?
Yes.
Okay. And I have my own personal thoughts on that. But I'm gonna hold off for a second here.
Okay.
You know, it seems, and I tried to read up on it as much as possible, and it seems Mr. Wallen is he's a little upset that he's only been nominated twice for a Grammy, and he hasn't won any. Now, we talked a lot about the Grammys and award shows in general earlier this year when there was the whole, debacle with Beyonce winning Best Country Album and all that. So, award shows, take them or leave them. But I do think that there is something to be said about someone who does win a Grammy, right? And if you've been nominated only twice and, like his latest album has 37 songs on it, like, ew, who wants to, never mind. But anyway, maybe you're just not good enough, Morgan. Maybe you it's time to just face it. You suck.
Well, there's a lot that goes into my response about this particular topic, because I think, as everybody knows, I've said time and time again on this show, I'm not going to hate on anybody's music. If you like Morgan Wallen, fine, you're allowed. It's perfectly fine. If you like bro country or pop country, which is, really more dance music with a country twang to me. But if you like that music and you support those artists, is what I'm trying to get out of my mouth. I don't think my brain's allowing me to call them that. But anyway, I kid. If you want to support those artists, by all means do. We are in favor of you supporting whatever artists that you like, and we don't care who they are. That's your choice. That's the beautiful thing about music. And I think I've said this a couple times before. This is not a competition. As much as the top 40 wants to put on, here's number one and here's number two. And as much as there's Grammys and Country Music Association Awards and Americana Music Association Awards and all that kind of crap, music and artistry and songs and bands and concerts are not a competition. This is not somebody is better than the next person. It's, I like these artists and I support all of them in my various ways. And for each individual, you can choose whoever the hell you want. So I am not someone who listens to pop country. So therefore, i.e., I do not listen to Morgan Wallen. I have heard a couple of Morgan Wallen songs. They're fine. I don't have anything against them. I do find it curious, however, that he is upset that he hasn't won any Grammys, even though he has been nominated. Most people would be happy with a nomination. I find it curious that he's upset that he hasn't won any Grammys when he has admitted that he doesn't really know much about country music. He has admitted that he listens mostly to rap and hip hop. So this is someone who seems to be, at least from what he said about his own musical tastes, from what I've read on various articles where he said these things, he's kind of a poser anyway. So why would the Grammys care if he wins or not? Now, if the song or the album merits a win, by all means give it to him. I don't care what flavor of country music he is, but at the same time, for him to come out and say, well, I'm too big for the Grammys because they don't like me because I'm too pop or whatever. It's a little conceited, and it's a little publicity stunty, and it's just something to rile the fans up. And I just think it's kind of dumb, and I ignore it because I don't care. and B, I don't really care who wins the Grammys, to be honest with you,
Right.
because
Right.
again, I just don't think it's a competition. I do think the Grammy television show is an opportunity for certain artists to get showcased, and it's interesting to see, who wins what and maybe why and all that kind of stuff. So I'm interested in it. But at the end of the day, I don't care if Morgan Wallen nominates himself or is not nominated at all or wins anything or loses everything. I don't
Or he
really
falls
care.
off the face of the earth. I mean, I wouldn't care.
Well, I'm not going to go that far. The guy's fine. I mean, he's got family and stuff, and I'm not going to wish any ill upon the dude. But
I'm not. I'm just saying it was
I
hypothetical.
I definitely feel like he could ratchet it down a little bit and give a couple other artists a slot or two in the top 10 of the country charts, because at any given point in time over the last 3 or 4 years, he's had like 7 out of the 10 songs, which is ridiculous, at least on like Apple iTunes or whatever. So,
Right.
but
Well, and what I saw, what I thought was interesting is that, this latest album, again, 37 songs, or if that number is not accurate, it's close to that, but 37 songs on the record. He is not withholding any of the songs that were written by other people for that album.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's only songs that he has written or co-written. And if he's involved in the writing, those songs probably aren't very good anyway. Right. Like, the rest of them are being written by other people who do this for a living. Like, that's what they do. They churn out songs for other people to sing. So, yeah, well, okay, fine. Then let those talented people, or somewhat talented people, go and win their awards. How generous of you, Morgan Wallen.
You can tell Francesca loves this guy.
He makes me want to kick him in the face.
I know. Well,
anyway,
so
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I hope that he is happy with his decision. That's as far as I'll go. I don't care one way or the other. I will say, though, this is an interesting sort of entree into another conversation that I've talked about a little bit before on the show. It kind of bothers me that we're having this conversation, and it bothers me of how some people are behaving around it. And it's the bigger conversation of pop country versus, real country, quote unquote, real country. And in the news over the last few weeks, and again, remember, we record this a few weeks ahead of time, so this is going to be a little bit old to you, but
right.
We're going to talk about it anyway, because I think this conversation is going to continue to happen. So in the last week or so, as we're recording this, you had Charlie Crockett, who posted who we love, and is squarely in the Americana space, or at least that's where the industries have put him, because he, hasn't kissed up to the big labels in Nashville and kind of found his way to success a different way, much like a Sturgill Simpson or a Tyler Childers or, the others who have not gone through the Nashville machine. So Charlie Crockett posts on, I think it was Instagram, and he's saying, hey, Beyonce is not why you should be butthurt. If you love pop country, you should be butthurt because we've had to put up with 20 years of bro country. And he kind of made a jab at the bro country folks, which, again, I'm of the mindset, if some people like bro country, let them like bro country. It doesn't matter, right? I just don't see the reason to pick on it. I don't prefer it, but I don't care if you do. Gavin Adcock, however, who apparently is squarely in the bro country and or pop country. I've never listened to a Gavin Adcock song, I don't think. He comes out and basically trashes Charlie and says he's a poser trying to be Hank Sr. and da-da-da-da-da. I thought it was really funny that, like, the next day or something, that Charlie Crockett sent him roses and a copy of Charlie's new album before he went on stage. That was classy. Good job, Charlie. And then there's been some other things that have happened in that whole what's real country, what's not real country. I will say this again. And one thing that I wanted to point out, which ties us back to Morgan Wallen, Zach Top, who is obviously a bit outside of the top, the pop country circles, and is making some noise in the mainstream country world. He came out and said in an interview or something somewhere that I saw fly by in my social media streams that he has a lot of respect for Morgan Wallen, for, his talent and his songs and the things that he does. And he was basically like, I don't see why people hate on him. And I agree with him. I don't see why people hate on him as much either. I just don't. The fact that he, did something outside of the music world a few years ago and used an N-word and whatnot, and there's questionable character things. I don't like any of that shit about anybody.
Right.
From a musical standpoint, I don't see why people are picking on him. So hats off to Zach Top for being, respectful and saying, hey, it doesn't matter what your flavor of country music is. I respect you as an artist, that kind of thing. So good for that. But I'll come back to what I've said about this argument all along. Again, it's not a competition. You can like whoever you want. I can like whoever I want. And it doesn't have to cause, problems. And I don't think there is a true country music sound. Country music has become, much as our world has become, a very large cornucopia and mixture of different cultures and flavors and people and perspectives. Austin, Texas country is a little different from Nashville, is a little different from Eastern Kentucky, is a little different from California country, is a little different from Canadian country. And that's okay. And we can like any of those and all of them or none of them. It doesn't matter. And so arguing over pop country sucks and real traditional country's better, or arguing that bro country sucks and pop country's better, or arguing that if it's not Willie and Waylon, it's not real country. None of that is accurate. It's all country music. Beyonce's Cowboy Carter is country music. It's a different flavor. It's a different style. It mixes genres, which I freaking love when genres are kind of blurred. Those lines are blurred. But yeah, it's country. Absolutely, it's country. It's a lot of other things too, and it doesn't necessarily have to belong in one specific country category for the award shows. But again, the award shows don't mean crap to me, really, in the long run. I think you are entitled to listen to whoever you want to listen to. It's not a competition. And there's really zero reason I can think of for anybody to hate somebody else's artistry, somebody else's songs, somebody else's music. If you want to dislike them because they're a piece of shit outside, to their family or to women or to men or to some other group, fine. Think they're a piece of shit. And I will probably agree with you. If they do things and they behave in a way that it shows that they're a piece of shit, they're a piece of shit. And we don't need to give them any airtime or any credit or whatever. But I'm not going to hate on their music, because music is something that's subjective and it's not a competition. And I think we should embrace and celebrate anybody who has the nerve to go create something that might be beautiful to somebody else. There you go. I know you're mad. You're mad because you agree with me, don't you?
Well, no. Okay. I respect your opinion and everything that you just said. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I don't disagree, right? But at the same time, especially for someone like Morgan Wallen, it's really hard for me to look past his off stage, if you will, antics.
Understood.
Because it is still part of a larger problem in country music, right? Like the racial slurs that he used. I mean, it's still, I think, a symptom of a larger problem. And it doesn't sit well with me.
I cannot disagree with you. I absolutely understand where you're coming from on that, and I don't disagree with you at all. In fact, there are plenty of artists out there, Morgan Wallen being one of them. When that happened, his racial thing, I was like, okay, well, I don't have to pay attention to him anymore, which I've lived a very happy life not paying attention to him. It's hard to avoid him these days because his team and he have done a good job of reestablishing his credibility and whatnot, even though he's done some questionable things in the past. And I'm all for also, too, if someone, learns from their mistakes and gets better as a human being, then by all means, let's give him that second chance. I don't know specifically that about him. I know that he doesn't, he gives a lot of money to charity. He doesn't tend to get in trouble anymore. And, other than the occasional chair off a bar roof. But at the same time, he's not a part of the world that I look at and think about. He pops up in my feed from time to time because he's a big famous guy who has a lot of hits on the charts all the time. But that's about all I know about him is headlines. And so, but yeah, I agree with you. If someone does something horrific or proves to be homophobic or racist or sexist or misogynist or whatever, then by all means, I don't think we should give them the time of day. But I'm not going to cross the line and say their music sucks because of that, because the music doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, they might be a shitty person, but they can still play a good tune or write a good song. that's okay. I'm not saying we should uplift them and, idolize them at that point, because, if we were going to do that, we'd still be idolizing Bill Cosby and shit, but we're not doing that. So, but yeah, I just have a hard time attacking people's music, because to me, that's art, and that doesn't make any sense.
Noted.
All right.
And here we have dedicated like 15 minutes to that guy. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry about that. Maybe we'll cut some of that out. Maybe we won't. We'd love your feedback. So jump over to the Facebooks or the Instagrams or wherever and tell us what you think about all this stuff. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love and sometimes music we don't necessarily love. But don't hate.
It happened. Yes. All right. I know. Okay. So today on the show, we are talking with Texas singer-songwriter Chasen Wayne. It's no secret that people from Texas are unashamedly proud of being from Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Chasen Wayne is no different. In fact, his latest album is called Corpus. Okay, so think of the city Corpus Christi, Texas. And we'll dig more into Chasen Wayne's Texas roots as well as his journey to sobriety.
Yeah, it seems Chasen's quite open about talking about his struggles with addiction. We'll talk with him about it some more, as well as how such transformative experiences factor into his music and songwriting.
For sure. And also Chasen Wayne and his wife are fresh off the birth of their second child. So we will be sure to touch on that and find out whether he's getting any sleep these days. And then, of course, we will share our music recommendations in our Pick and the Grinnin' segment. And you're going to want to stick around for that after the interview. Yeah,
he's got a fun Zach Bryan story in there, too. So we'll hear more about that. As you can see, since we're now on video, I am out of bourbon. So,
oh, no me digas.
It is time to take a quick break to thank the fine sponsors that make this show happen. And if you are a bourbon, we would love for you to sponsor us, because this shit's still costing me money. When we come back, we will talk with Chasen Wayne. Stay tuned. This is Roots Music Rambler.
Been a little too easy to find. Been hauling ass all across these interstate lines. Well, it was just a matter of time, and I'm easy to find.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That was the song Easy to Find by today's guest, Chasen Wayne, off his latest album, Corpus. We're so excited to have you on the show, my man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are y'all?
We're great.
Good.
We're great.
All right. Yeah. So should we start with the big news here? Okay. We know you've got a new addition to the family.
Yeah.
What's it been like? Are you sleeping?
Luckily this time my wife has been she's been a trooper and doing a lot of the get-ups with the infant, but I hang out with the toddler mostly. And
okay.
He's kind of a handful, and he's pretty physical. And my wife is not physical and capable of wrangling him. So it's kind of how it's been. And, I don't really matter until, I don't know.
I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, I mean, I'm a placeholder, I guess. She's breastfeeding. Well,
I always told people when I had kids, and mine are 20 and 17, so mine are almost adults now. But I've always told people that my job for the last 20 years has been assistant mom. That's kind of what I am.
Kind of, yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Sure.
I do enjoy having, my son kind of looks like me, and he kind of already acts like me. So the good news is I probably know what to do in the next couple of years. Some big pitfalls,
There you go.
From experience.
Well, good luck with that. And we also know you've got even more big news. The new album is called Corpus and was released just this past June. How's the album been going for you so far?
It's been good. I'm kind of, I'm so independent. Everything is a real slow burn. I just have my markets that the algorithm, or I don't know, has built a fan base at. Like Chicago is a surprisingly great fan base for my music, even though I'd never been to Chicago until this year. I don't know. I have one friend in Chicago. I have two friends in Chicago, and they're both artists, but I highly doubt they're just going up to strangers and playing my music. And then New York is a big market for us, which is also surprising, just because there's like this big country music. That's kind of the hipster thing right now in New York. Is everybody's really into country music, and if you're from Texas, they pay you really well to go up there and tell people you're from Texas and play country music.
That's good.
Yeah, so in Denver is probably my third, and then of course DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio.
I wonder if the swell in Chicago and New York, I wonder if it has anything to do with just the fact that Austin, Texas, in and of itself, has exploded the last 10 years, not just in size, but in popularity. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of comedians and whatnot that have migrated there for various reasons. It's become this like kind of cultural hub in a lot of ways. It's always been a hub for music, but I wonder if the sort of the Austin push over the last decade isn't partially responsible for that, because people are just fascinated with folks who live in Austin.
I think that's probably true. I mean, I would say I have this conversation a lot. I run a music venue in Austin called Sagebrush, and I tell most people that Austin is the second biggest market for country music, and it's the best paying. Even though it's such a small town, it's just a different philosophy. Charlie Crockett comes to Austin and starts making money, and he's allowed to, you can basically, the more original you are, the more original songs you have, the more you're rewarded in Austin. And I think that a lot of other markets, especially Nashville, that's not the case. If you go to New Orleans, it's a lot of bar bands who all play the same cover songs, for 3 or 4 hours, and it's tip based, which is pretty much Nashville's, working setup as well. But in Austin, it's like, you can play the White Horse or Sagebrush on a Friday and make like $1,500, $3,000 cash, and then pay your band pretty good. And if you have a residency, maybe you're making $800 to $1,500 every Tuesday, and saving money and paying your band. A lot of great bands in Austin that are original that don't even leave Austin because they don't want to deal with, playing in Memphis or Indianapolis or like some of these harder markets where the infrastructure and the, the legacy isn't there. So I don't know. I think that's probably true, though. It has been a really popular place to come to. I moved to Austin 12 years ago from a real small town in North Texas, and I was like, I was just getting into like trouble. It was one of those towns where it's like I should probably leave after being there. As long as I was save myself.
Understood.
So that's what I did. And I mean, I worked on a ranch and lived in a pool house for a couple months and saved money and, moved pretty much right in the middle of downtown Austin. And I've been here ever since. And I've definitely seen that big change over the last, it was massively changing when I moved here. For the last 20 years, it's been, really growing at a rapid pace.
How about we talk a little bit about another place in Texas, Corpus Christi, okay?
Yeah.
So we have read and heard that your newest album, Corpus, is and, still is deeply personal for you. So the songs on the record focus on your struggles with addiction I am assuming that is the trouble you spoke of that you were getting into in your hometown, and also your road to sobriety. I've also seen that Corpus, the album has been referred to as a concept album.
Mhm.
Okay, so how do you feel about that description, and why was it important for you to focus on these topics with this new record?
I mean, all my music is pretty personal. I can't, I write like character driven stories normally. Every once in a while, some weird kind of poetic thing will come out that I probably don't fully understand, but for the most part, it is pretty character driven, and a lot of it's pretty much me trying to retell an experience I had or a feeling I had. But for some reason, I've always struggled to just say it exactly how it happened. I kind of need this small degree of separation in order to actually like write the best song I can.
Nice.
So like almost everything you hear in Corpus and each of those songs like actually happened. But where they happened, sometimes not. Who they happened to, sometimes not. But like, cheating on my wife and doing drugs and getting in car wrecks in the desert and all that stuff was definitely the situation I was coming from as of the last. I wasn't really an addict until like, maybe 2020 it finally started showing up, but it was at its peak, in 2022, 2023. And,
Okay.
for the last 5 years, like I said, like just so much damage done. And somehow I was still like getting into a good place in life somehow, like kind of like falling up in some strange way.
Yeah.
And, luckily my wife was kind of like, that's not going to be the case, the rest of your life. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't as much. It was only important to talk about because it's just all I have to really say. It's the value of my life experience, I would say.
Yeah.
If I could write, I wish I could write like love songs and like happy songs, and just never. I've had chronic depression since I was like 10. Now medicated, but diagnosed at a young age. It's just never been the stories I've been able to tell or that speak to me. I've
Sure.
always wanted to tell the that kind of dark side, and the more you talk about it and sing about it, the more familiar you become with it, the more power you have over it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's therapeutic. Very therapeutic.
very, very, music to me is a very therapeutic thing, at least when it comes to the lyrics and like the whole atmosphere building. I don't really make always the most straightforward material because I like, I shouldn't have to be able to say anything in order for you to feel the mood of tone of the song, if you're really good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So one of the focal points of the show that we have here is how the sense of place, whether it's town, state, country, your mama's house or whatever, that informs an artist's writing. You chose the name Corpus from your newest album, I assume because of the city of Corpus Christi, Texas. But you did say you were from North Texas, so I know Corpus Christi is not North Texas. So tell us a little bit about why Corpus Christi is significant to you and your family, and why that place features so prominently in your life and your writing, especially for this album.
I chose Corpus itself because Corpus is an important place, but also the definition. I thought I was slick and chose the definition of Corpus as a body of text.
Uh-huh.
And so this is kind of like me writing. It's almost like I just delivered a journal in album form or a diary in album form,
Nice.
I guess. But only one reviewer caught that, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll send you, you get a T-shirt, you know.
Oh, nice.
I get in my own way with that shit, though. Can I curse on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
All day, every day.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I'll try to watch it just so you can.
No, you don't have to try to watch it. We really
No.
don't give a shit. It's fine. It's totally fine. This is a podcast, not a radio show. We're all right.
There we go.
I always get in my own way with that, you know, doing that shit. So I like being a good writer, but you know, Corpus has just been a strangely significant place growing up. You know, we didn't have a lot of money to actually vacation, but we could afford to drive down to Corpus Christi, Texas, and get a hotel and go to that beach, you know, or one of the beaches. Port Aransas Island is really close if you're not familiar. Mustang Islands, you know, you can pretty quickly, South Padre, North Padre, you can pretty easily, you know, find yourself in Mexico if you keep going south pretty quickly. But it's just a real blue collar beach. I've heard North Carolina's beaches, people have said, are similar, or like to where it's definitely not the cleanest. I don't know that from North Carolina. I'm just saying I've been told that. But
Gotcha.
it's if you were coming from, you know, an Atlantic beach, or even either of the major oceans, if you're coming from that going to the Gulf, it's not the same. I've seen at least the Atlantic, and it's not pretty and blue. It's you know, kind of greenish, bluish sometimes. I've seen it brown before, you know, like it's low income generally around all of those beach towns. You know, they are not wealthy. There are, of course, nice houses like anywhere, but the majority of the people who live in those counties and towns are, you know, living at a low income, you know, rate. Drugs are just a huge problem in the majority of Texas. Pretty much everywhere, I'm sure drugs are a problem, but you know, so it was kind of meant to be ironic too that like I spent my whole life going to this like, you know, beach and being around, you know, my family are addicts and, you know, drunks and also good people, but also addicts and drunks. So like it's somehow I just could never escape it, because even as I got older, you know, I proposed to my wife in Corpus. We went there every summer when I was a kid. That was always the family vacation, is we just go to Corpus, you know. Never went to like Disneyland or whatever, you know.
It's overrated and very expensive.
Totally, and so expensive.
I curse too much there too, so I don't know if I want to go there either. I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about him hearing me driving.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you definitely want to, you know, try to, you know, curb your enthusiasm for the 4-letter words around the kids, at least for a little while. Once they start using them themselves, they pick them up at school. It's like, whatever. It's, you know, but the Pandora's box is open.
It sounds like your relationship with Corpus Christi is very much like the relationship I have with Clearwater Beach, Florida. We went there every year, you know, and I don't feel the need to ever go back there, but plenty of really good memories. Not the prettiest beaches, but it's still a part of me because I was with my family and with people who loved me. And I'm getting that same sense from you with Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I mean, my parents honeymooned there, and you know, they conceived me in a bar that's still there. It's like one of the oldest bars. And
wow.
Yeah, it's called Blackbeard.
Okay, we broke that seal.
There we go. There we go.
They told me when I was like 15 on one of the family.
Oh my God. Were you mortified?
They told me after I came out of the men's room, so I was like, "There's nothing I can do now." I mean,
Oh, wow.
they were laughing.
That's hilarious.
Moment, didn't it?
That's crazy. So you were coming out of the men's room?
Yeah.
Where you were conceived, and they said, "Hey, guess what? We conceived you in there."
Yeah, they said,
Wow.
We got too drunk. We couldn't make it to the hotel next door, so we just went into the bathroom.
Whew. All right. Well, thank God my parents were not big on disclosures.
Oh. Right? I'm almost 100% sure that this is a first for our show, right? Discussing a song about a place where an artist was conceived.
Yeah. There you go. Goodness.
Like I said, I'm always drawn to it somehow.
I wonder why.
Cosmically connected to the men's room at what's the name of the bar?
Blackbeard's Bar and Grill.
Blackbeard's Bar and Grill. Okay, so Blackbeard's Bar and Grill in Corpus Christi, Texas. If you go in the men's room, guess what? All right, since we're talking about Roots, I think it's a good spot for us to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Chasen Wayne about growing up in Texas and finding his way to Austin, as well as where you might be able to find Chasen on the road. We'll head out with a clip from the aforementioned song Honeymoon that talks about being conceived at Blackbeard's Bar and Grill in Corpus Christi, Texas. Don't go away. This is Roots Music Rambler.
Just hitched, headed south, halfway there, had my foot in my mouth. She said, I'm gone to bed, go to hell and take the couch
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That is the song Ancient Outlaw Dance from Chasen Wayne off his 2024 album, Strange Places. So, Chasen Wayne, you grew up in a small town in North Texas. You're now based in Austin. When you realized you wanted to pursue music as more than just a hobby, was that the natural thing to do to make your way to the live music capital of the world, or did you circumnavigate yourself there somewhere, some other way?
Well, I could have gone to Fort Worth. At the time, Fort Worth had a scene that was doing better than it is these days, but I was too close. I didn't want to be that close. I needed a little more separation from my family and friends, and the trouble I was getting into. I just needed to go somewhere else and kind of wanted to restart. And I had just, I come by country music pretty earnestly because I was born and raised on a ranch, a team roping ranch, rodeo. Come from a rodeo family called Kennedale, Texas. And tons of family drama with that, but eventually we were kicked off that ranch and we relocated to Granbury, Texas, which is about an hour and 15 minutes southwest of Fort Worth. So I had grown up hearing, George Jones, Roger Miller, everything that the gold standard of country music, Patsy Cline. But I had issues, and I was like 10 years old, started listening to like Pantera and Black Sabbath and Metallica, Slayer. I was in a trailer park, so there's a lot of hip hop going around as well. And so 50 Cent was big at the time. It's my age. I'm only 30, so I got to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was kind of like me beginning of me trying to find my own way. And around the time I was 15, I had gone through so much music, old blues, jazz. I became a total music nerd. I wanted to start a band. When I tried to sing, I just had an accent. Even when I played in like an alternative rock band, I would play bass and sing, and I just would still kind of have an accent when I would sing. So, and I started appreciating songwriting more, and I had been smoking pot since I was like 11. I don't anymore, but I had already, that seal had been broken a long time ago as well. And I started reading about Willie Nelson, and I had already done blow when I was like 15 at that time. So I started really being attracted to this whole outlaw movement that was coming out of Austin in the 70s, and reading about it and being like, hey, these feel like my kind of guys, They're like a little more open-minded, not only politically, because I come from a very, very, very conservative place. There's conservative, and then there's very conservative, rural Texas conservative. And that was appealing, cowboys, smoking pot, hanging out with girls, wooing city girls, in Austin. And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty fun. You know what I mean? Who wouldn't like that? So I moved there thinking that it was going to be like that. And of course, that was just a cool place to go to. And I knew it was the live music capital of the world, but really Willie Nelson, I was like, if I could do anything like that, that would be really cool. And I feel like my best shot is a place like that. And to be quite frank, I was too scared to go to New York or LA. I didn't feel smart enough. You have ideas about the coast when you're growing up in like rural Texas, even though I didn't believe all those ideas. Like, I loved Lou Reed when I was like 15 and 16. I loved the Velvet Underground. I liked Iggy Pop. I was listening to like Piedmont blues stuff from the East Coast.
Nice.
Big Skip James fan when I was like 15, which of course I didn't tell. There was no other Skip James fan at 15 years old.
Skip who?
Yeah. I get lucky with Lightning Hopkins time to time. Some people knew about him, but just because he's a Texas legend. But yeah, Austin was just kind of like far enough away. At the time, really felt like a place you could probably find yourself. That's probably what appealed to me. I could start trying to become my own person.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I graduated early, and I was 17, and that was 2012. And I was lifting weights a lot. I was much bigger than I am now, and my dad was a bouncer at a bar for a long time. That's how he met my mom. And so I kind of had a hand at, from him, from me and him getting after it. I kind of knew some tricks, kind of knew some things. So that was, 17, benching 320 pounds, and, I'm 6'1". So I was like, just went and started applying at bars on 6th Street and got hired pretty quickly. And
Nice.
took the job really serious. I am very grateful for the work ethic I was taught. That actually really gave me a shot at the music industry, just because I had such a good reputation as a bouncer. Even as a minor,
Nice.
I was in management roles as a minor, and, working 7 nights a week, 6 nights a week, getting paid well under the table. I got a job at an amphitheater because my boss, before I moved to Austin, I got this diesel and herbicide in my right eye, spraying mesquite trees on the ranch. And, you just sit in the back of a truck, and you're out in the plains. It's just kind of like dusty, and cactus and mesquite thorns coming up, bushes coming up, and I was just spraying, wearing a sleeveless shirt, and like kind of doing this, and pump and spray, and eventually I basically almost went blind in this right eye. And so they got me a job at this amphitheater doing VIP security, so I could get health insurance. And I never had health insurance growing up. So, if I didn't, who knows what would have happened? If I would have gotten a job at Domino's or something, probably would have been
right.
fine.
Right. So sort of like, I mean, not the best situation, but it turned out like a right place, right time kind of deal.
Yeah, it kind of all feels that way in my life, even the bad stuff, like,
yeah,
it's kind of like, man, I could have been way worse, I actually got lucky, even though I didn't feel like it, think I did at the time, so I definitely think I'm supposed to be here, and, and I definitely love Austin, even though I don't know how Austin I am all the time. I definitely have a lot of love for the city, and I try to do my part in maintaining some of the culture that brought me here, at least the good things,
Yeah. Well, you did mention one thing already, I believe in the previous segment about working at Sagebrush, right? So that gets you even more involved in the music business.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a talent buyer, correct?
Yeah.
Is that your role? Okay. So did that gig come about through like these same kind of avenues that you've just described, like right time, right place kind of deal?
Yeah, actually, like I said, I got a really good reputation for bouncing. So 2012, let's fast forward to 2016. I'm working at a really popular venue called Hotel Vegas. It can be sort of rowdy still at that time, and I was good at physically removing people or de-escalate, trying to talk people down, without it being like a brawl.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the specialty. So when 2020 hit is when I really started to try to make music happen finally. I was dating a girl who was in a popular punk band in town, and she was pretty supportive. She liked my songs, and I had been playing over the years, at open mics, or, biker bars in Fort Worth and, the towns around Fort Worth. But it was hard to get into any legitimate place in Austin, even though I was working at the most legitimate places, and probably didn't have the confidence yet either.
Yeah.
But with the pandemic, it's just kind of like lit a fire under my ass of like, I don't know what's going to happen at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just really just started trying to write more seriously, would call out of work, say I was sick just so I could sit outside for like 10, 12 hours, drink beer, and just stare at a notepad holding a guitar and try to write. And, I was anything to make me just sit there and just, write something. That seemed worthy. And eventually I did. And I mean, my neighbor was a violin player, and he would come over and jam with me. And then I started getting solo gigs. He started coming along with me to play those solo gigs for like no money. And then one day I'm DM'd by a really popular bass player here in town who plays in a popular country band. And she was like, hey, I really like your stuff on social media. If you want, if you're looking for a bass player, I'm available. And I was like, oh, wow. And then she was like, and the drummer from this popular band, like, he's going to come with me if you want. And I kind of got fast tracked to the front of the line all of a sudden to, I had a residency every Saturday night at like in the month of July at a really popular club, and I was playing the White Horse, which is a famous place.
Yep.
Every Wednesday from 8 to 10, and making like $800, $1,000, you know. So then they kind of just, you know, those two just kind of broke me open to the scene. And everybody was like, "Who is this guy?" It's like, I've just been taking out the trash while you perform. You know, I've been like,
Oh my
I've been here the whole
goodness.
time. So, yeah.
And then is that when you got that really big boost from Zach Bryan?
No,
Can you talk about that?
I guess I said all that to say my second the Sagebrush had just opened again in 2020, and in 2022 they only had one door guy, and he had to leave. He was moving, and the owner couldn't find a door guy, and so he called my old boss from like 2016, and he goes, "Hey, do you have any good..." He was just calling other venue owners, and he's like, "Do you know a good door guy?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's one guy you book all the time who was my best door guy." And he was like, "Who's that?" And then he told him, he's like, "Chasen's like, he's got a reputation for being a great door guy. You should hire him. You're already, you know, he's already there at least once a week." And I said, "Sure, I'll do it part-time, but I'm not doing it full-time again. I'm trying to be a musician, and plumbing is the only way I'm surviving right now." So I guess out of desperation, I just asked him one day, I was like, "Hey, you think you'd ever let me book shows here?" And he was like, "Yeah, have you ever done that?" And I was like, "Kinda. I think I'd be pretty good at it." And he was like, "Okay, well, book something." And then the first thing I booked was like Nikki Lane.
Oh,
Wow.
Live.
she's great.
That's solid.
I had some friends help me make that connection, and I did not know how to talk to booking agents, but I was doing a lot of blow at the time, admittedly, but I was, you know, just calling people like crazy. Like, I'm sure they hated me because anytime I couldn't, I'm just so used to like, need something done, I do it right now. I have like a high motor, I have ADHD, you know, I'm a very busy person. And I remember calling this major booking agency like 4 or 5 times asking for basically the guy who's in charge of all the other booking agents, like, you know, 2 pegs shy of the owner, and just being like, "I'm not getting a response from anybody."
Yeah.
I need you to, you know, I need you to get your people, they need to get their shit together, and they need to call me back or answer my fucking emails. And he was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Calling, trying to get, you know, Charlie Crockett to come play at a 400 cap menu, you know. And but I got Nikki Lane, and then I got Vincent Neil Emerson, and then he was like, "All right,
Nice.
I don't know what you're doing, but this calendar is yours now." The cool thing is I knew something was about to happen. I don't know why, but like it was like January of going into 2024, and we were not making a lot of money financially still at this job, but you know, it was a great opportunity for me to network, and my wife saw a lot of value in me being a musician and learning this side of the business as well. And I remember I just started watching Field of Dreams because I would stay up all night with my son so she could sleep through the night. And I was at work late anyway, so I'd come home at like 2 in the morning, hold my son, feed him every 2 hours, and just watch movies till like 6 or 7 in the morning. And I was just watching Field of Dreams a lot, like Kevin Costner Field of Dreams, like
Yep.
way more than it would ever make sense to anybody to explain. But like, I was watching it and crying, like tearing up. I was like, you know, just really hanging on every word, and like to the point to where my wife by like day 4 was like, "What is going on? Like, is this like a internet challenge or something? Or like, why are we watching Field of Dreams every night? Why is this the only thing that's on the TV?" And I was like, "I have no idea." But like, I've just been I've just been really depressed. And for some reason, Field of Dreams is like doing it for me. It's just like kind of pulling me out of whatever funk I'm in. That Saturday
It's a powerful
night.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. That Saturday night, if you build it, they will come.
Precisely.
She woke me up and said that she had a dream that I was on the cover of the Austin Chronicle of the paper. And I was like, well, I don't know why that would be. I must have done something wrong, because there's no reason I would be on the cover of the Chronicle. And we had a special event that required me to be there early on a Sunday. And again, depressed, kind of out of it. Showed up to work, just checked the emails, and I got an email from a video scout basically saying, hey, I'm, a music video scout for this company. Our main client is Zach Bryan, and he's looking for a place to shoot a music video. If you're interested, please give me a call. And I was looking at it, and I remember sitting in the office and just being like, it must be a different Zach Bryan. This must be spelled different. It must not be spelled the same way. Or I looked at it and opened another window and typed it in, and it's spelled the same way. And then I looked up the company, and their only thing they had out was like the only music video he had ever done.
Wow.
And so I called the guy right there that morning, and he goes, oh, hey. And I said, hey, I'm Chasen with Sagebrush. I just saw your email. We would love to do this. And he goes, oh, I saw the owner 2 days ago in the morning. I waited out front to meet y'all because nobody was responding to the email. And I told him I could only offer a small amount per day for filming. And the owner told him, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but this isn't the Boys and Girls Club. So you need to get out of here. We're not running a charity. He's like, I would never close for anybody for that price. And he was in the bar that Sunday, and I said, we will do that for that price, and I will call you right back in 5 minutes. And I ran in there, and it's the only time I've ever yelled at him, because he is he's like a brother to me. He's like an older brother. I owe him.
And your boss?
Yeah. Well, I just owe him, I just owe him so much. My life has changed so much because of this opportunity he'd given me. And I was just like, do you realize who you just told that we're not the Boys and Girls Club and this and that? And he was like, I don't see the big deal. And I pulled up the one Zach Bryan music video, and I was like, what number is that? And it said 20 million views.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That's the guy. And so he said, call him back, make this right. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. That's great. Man, that is some story. Chasen, thank you so much for spending some time with us, man. We can't thank you enough. But before you go, please let the good people know where they can find your tour dates, your music, your merch, all that good stuff on the interwebs, and we'll make sure we've got all those links in our show notes.
Yeah, you can find, if you follow me on Instagram, Chayway, CHAYWEY. It's a nickname from my amigos from digging tunnels, and I hold dearly. But if you follow me there, that's kind of what I just use as my website, because I don't want to pay, for a website. And,
Sure.
Making music is expensive. Touring is expensive. I'm not paying for a website. Just everybody has an Instagram or a Facebook. That's
true.
I keep all my tour dates up. It's just my name, Chasen Wayne, on Spotify, Tidal, all the DSPs, all the streaming sites. Bandcamp, you can actually pay me directly. So I always ask, if you really like the album, please buy it on Bandcamp. That's probably short of buying vinyl or CDs or merch, that's probably the best outcome for an artist, is Bandcamp.
Nice. Okay. But great stuff, my man.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time being with us tonight, and we want to go out with another track from Strange Places. This one is Valley of the Stone. He's Chasen Wayne, and we'll be back with our Picking the Grinning segment. Be sure to stay tuned. You're listening to Roots Music Rambler. Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. Man, that Chasen Wayne's had a life, and he's half my age. So
I know he said he's only 30, and when he was talking about 50 Cent, I'm thinking to myself, I was in the club, like the song by 50 Cent goes, right? Like I was in the club dancing to 50 Cent, and you were 10.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Okay. Well, anyway,
he's got a colorful life, which means he's got pretty damn good music to go along with it. That's how that usually happens, or at least it's one way for that to happen. So, Chasen Wayne, check out all those links there that we put in the show notes at rootsmusicrambler.com. And oh, by the way, just as a reminder, if you're ever trying to get to an episode of Roots Music Rambler and you just want to get there quickly, we have a short URL. It's rootsmusic.link. And so rootsmusic.link, and then you put a slash, just like bit.ly, right? So rootsmusic.link / and then the name of the artist. So rootsmusic.link / Chasen Wayne will get you to this episode. If you want to go back and look at the episode with, let's say, Nicholas Jamerson, it's rootsmusic.link / Nicholas Jamerson. We do that simply so that you can remember how to quickly get to the episode. So if you ever need to, that's how you do it. Rootsmusic.link / artist name.
We love technology.
Yeah, tech's cool. So we don't always remember to use it right. Or sometimes we know how to use it right and we don't use it right, but it's there.
And then there's that. Yeah.
That's true. All right, it's time for the Pick and the Grinning segment. Speaking of technology, we've been scouring the Spotifys and other mechanisms of listening to music and finding good stuff for you to listen to. This is where Frank and I recommend a song, an artist, an album, a movement, a propaganda. I don't know what the hell else we find something that we've been listening to that makes us grin, and we or that we like, and we share it with you. And so I think Francesca went first last time, so I'm going to go first this time. And
okay.
And I believe last time I told you guys the story of we are at a fortunate place now in the evolution of Roots Music Rambler where publicists are reaching out and saying, would you please look at my artist to be a potential guest or whatever? And the way I normally do it is like, well, if I've never heard of them, I will, we're not going to necessarily book them for an interview, but I'll go listen to their stuff. We'll put them on a list of people that we would consider for our Pick and the Grinning segment. You know, we'll share a little love, sure. And then as we get to know them a little bit better over time, if we feel like they're a really good interview candidate or our audience is interested in them, then we'll invite them to be on the show. So it's a step in that direction. So a publicist reached out to me not long ago for a band from Seattle, Washington. They're an old-time bluegrass Irish folk band. I would probably classify them much more in the bluegrass category than Irish folk, but there's influences in there that you can hear. They're called the Onlys, Onlies, Onlys. And I really, really like them. I am one of those people who, if it's a bluegrass or traditional mountain music of any sort, I can put it on in the background and go about whatever I'm doing. And it's good, uplifting music. It makes me feel good. But I actually sat down today with the Onlys and listened to probably 8 or 10 songs. And I'm just like, wow, they're really good. They write good songs. They sound great. They've got good vocals. They play like a sumbitch. So I'm recommending my Pick and the Grin this week is the Onlys. So we will have links to them in the show notes so you can go to Spotify and check them out. And I hope you do.
Yes.
What you got, Frank?
All right. I'm going to have to check them out. That sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the intro that you just gave about, you know, how we are getting emails from reps and, you know, PR people and stuff. My Pick and the Grinnin', it came about the exact same way. So I got an email from another rep asking to check out this band, and I did, and I was like, oh my God, fantastic, right? And they describe themselves as Gothic Indie Americana.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah. Gothic Indie Americana. So that like Gothic part of it is what really caught my attention. So immediately I clicked on the link, and it brought me to some pictures of the band, and there's like 6 people in the band, and they're all standing there. They've got these like replica musicians that are very folk artsy looking. Okay. And then all the band members have got these like huge creepy masks on.
Huh.
Not like the movie Saw or, like Scream or
Right.
anything like that, but these like, oh, you have to go look at it. Oh, I should probably tell you the name of the band.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, they're called Del Roscoe, and they're based in Atlanta. And go check them out. Look at the pictures on the website. And I was like, it was
Huh.
I was very intrigued by the whole mask thing. And then I'm like, I gotta find out. I gotta. So I like went down that rabbit hole and I listened to everything that I could find on Spotify from Del Roscoe. And like you said about the Onlys, I love it.
Yeah.
I love them, and I did find other photos of them without the creepy masks. So they're regular, normal people. And yeah, so it's definitely some bluegrass influences, definitely Americana,
Yeah.
Definitely has that indie vibe. I need to find out where the Gothic part comes from, or if it's just like that whole mask thing,
Right.
their appearance. But yeah, I really, really like them.
The way that I'm looking at the picture now on their website,
Okay.
the way that I would describe these masks is they're kind of like a Mexican street fair, it's almost a piñata that someone would wear as an oversized head on a costume.
So like paper mache, right?
Yeah, like paper mache kind of thing. And I wouldn't call them necessarily, because when I think Gothic, sometimes I think like Tim Burton, creepy, weird, I wouldn't call these creepy or weird. They're different, yes.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I could see this being like some sort of, I don't know, creative spin on a mariachi band or something like that. They seem to have a little bit of a Latin flair to them. I don't know if that's comes through in their music, but it kind of looks that way to me. But it looks like these big paper mache head people. There's an army marching drum on one of them. There's a couple of guitars. There's a fiddle on one. There's a stand-up bass on the other, and it looks like some sort of dobro or something on the fourth or fifth one. But yeah, the look is definitely unique from that picture.
Yes.
I can't wait to get into the music and listen to it. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. I thought it was very refreshing, like a different look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't recommend it enough.
Okay.
So check it out.
All right. Well, we're going to check out Del Roscoe, Gothic Indie Americana from Hotlanta. How about that? All right. Well, that's a pretty good show there for us. Well, that's going to wrap it up, and it couldn't come a minute too soon because I'm out of bourbon again, and by God, you know how I get when I don't have my bourbons. Roots Music Rambler is a production of Falls & Partners, copyright 2025. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Gentacorum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com, and make sure you mash that subscribe or follow button so you remember to join us for the next hoedown and throwdown. She's Frank.
He's Falls.
And whatever you do, kids, ramble on.